Hello out there. Record Hunter here. Cheers. Today I am drinking Voodoo Ranger Imperial IPA 9% alcohol. In today's video, I'm going to show the 10 records I listened to the most in the last 5 years. And a lot of people are doing this thread of records they listen to the most, but I've been listening to music like every day my whole life. And when I was a teenager and up to my young 20s, some metal and punk stuff I listened to like every day, like or a lot. So there's records I've heard like hundreds or even thousands of times. And these are the records I listened to the most in the last 5 years. I had to look on Facebook because I do a thing where I'm showing records I listen to I was doing it every Friday, and then like once in a while during the week. Haven't been able to do that much because I've been really busy lately the last year or so. But it gave me an idea of like what I listen to the most, and a lot of the records I've been listening to for like 35 years or 35 plus years are in here. So the first one I'm going to show is Iron Maiden's Killer, and this is from 1981. I was first introduced to this by my cousin back in 1982 when he moved into my neighborhood, and he was a metalhead. He was a few years older than me, and I was a kid, and he just kind of took me under his wing. I was just here, I'm hanging out with my cousin, or I'm the kid hanging around with his cousin, so we're like listening to Maiden and Priest and Dio, Dio didn't even put out a solo album yet, so it was Rainbow, and Sabbath Rainbow and with Dio. So that's the stuff we were listening to back in '82, and but I was no stranger to metal because my dad, he had some Sabbath and some Alice Cooper and Deep Purple, and he even had a Blue Cheer record. So, well, that's another video, or you'll see it in other videos I've shown. Well, I'm going to show you my first punk album I ever bought, and I still pull this out at least a few times a year. It's a Blasting Concepts, and it's a SST compilation of the early bands, and I bought it because I heard of Black Flag, and I bought this in 1985. And it has the Meatmen, the Meat Puppets, Saccharine Trust, Black Flag, Overkill, the punk band, not the metal band, the Stains, Worm, and Husker Du. Came out in 1983. I still listen to this record to this day, and I've heard this one, I don't know, thousands of times. So the next thing I'm going to show you is this Metallica record. You'd think that I'd be showing like a studio album, but I used to listen to those records all the time. But nowadays, I tend to just pull this bootleg out like a lot. This bootleg, it says it's from 1983, San Francisco. It's called Let God Sort 'Em Out. And like I said in an earlier video, they botched this one up because it's actually from July of 1982. They sound kind of like a punk band. They sound like they don't really got it together yet, but it really sounds awesome if you like punk rock. It's fast. It's dirty and raw. I really like it a lot. And like I said, they botched this up because it's at the end of this record they put Megadeth's demo on here, and this is not a Megadeth record. It's Metallica. Okay, now I'm going to show you a record that you wouldn't expect me to have you would expect me to have in my collection, but you wouldn't expect it to be a record I've listened to the most for the last, actually, like 35 years, is the GoGos with Beauty and the Beat. This came out in 1982, and I was fortunate enough to see the GoGos 3 times and meet them all 3 times. And the last time I saw them, my band Spare Change was headlining the Fox stage at the Taste of Chicago in 2001 on July 4th, and they were playing the Patrol, the big stage, and then we got to hang out with them after, and it was the first time I got to meet Belinda Carlisle, even though I met the other Go-Go's 2 times before. And here is WuTang Clan, Enter the 36 Chambers. This record is my favorite hip-hop record. I picked this up soon after it came out, and this is from 1993. I picked it up in December of '93, and this is the rap album I listen to the most. I also tend to pull the Beastie Boys and NWA and Cypress Hill's first album out a lot, but not as much as these records I'm showing you today. Now I'm going to show you Funkadelic, Maggot Brain from 1971. This is my favorite funk album, and this is the funk record I listen to the most, and I pull this one out a lot. I pull out actually a lot of Funkadelic and Parliament, but out of all their records, this one I listen to the most. This one probably is like the most, like, I guess I don't want to call it rock and roll, but like psychedelic rock. So even though it has, funk elements. So okay, now here's the record I grew up with. I told you in an earlier video that I found out later in life that my dad told me that the first concert I actually went to was Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon, because they didn't have a babysitter. And they took me to the show. And this is, I think it was 74 when they took me, when they played Milwaukee County Stadium. But this is Dark Side of the Moon. This record, I've listened to my whole life. And a few times a year I always pull this. And this one, I would say more. That's why I didn't show the other two. Jimi Hendrix Electric Ladyland and Pink Floyd Animals, sometimes Wall. I pull out when I'm thinking about my parents, and they're both gone, and I tend to listen to this record a lot. So, okay, now I'm going to go to another record I've had for a long time, and I listened to it for a long time since I was in high school, and it's the Misfits, Walk Among Us, 1982. Told you a story about this, how I picked this up at a place called Reckless Records the very first day it came out. There's a whole big long story for that, but you could probably watch that in one of my other videos. But I tend to listen to this record a lot, more than all the other Misfits records. But also I tend to like go on whole like Misfits kicks where I listen to all the records. But this one gets pulled out a little more than the rest. And the Dead Kennedys, which is my favorite band, Bedtime for Democracy. From 1986. It's their last studio album, and this one I tend to pull out the most out of all the Kennedy stuff. Not my favorite of all the Kennedy's albums, but this one is the one I tend to throw on the most. I'll be like, oh man, I feel like listening to some Dead Kennedys. I look at all the records and I throw on Bedtime for Democracy. So, okay, now last but not least, actually last but the very, 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 very most. Rain of Blood, Slayer. It's my favorite album ever. And bought this the day it came out on cassette in 1986. I bought it on cassette because I cut school. And they had the whole album on one side of the tape and the whole album on the other. And I listened on my headphones every day. I've listened to this record every day from 1986 to 1992. And from that point on, I listened to it for years and years and years on weekends with my buddies drinking. But early, like I had it on cassette, I listened to it like 10 times a day, 8 times a day. It's my favorite album. Still my favorite album. Rain of Blood. So if I do show a video, or if I did show a video of the records I listen to the most, it's definitely this one. Well, that's it. That's the end of my video. I figure maybe I should start saying this. Please like and subscribe to my channel, because I want it to grow and I want to show more videos, and I'm going to do it regardless. But please like and subscribe, and do it for rock and roll and metal and whatever music and the VC. Cheers from the Record Hunter. Catch you next time when the hunt is on.